Good morning, dear students. Myself, Dr. Sarita Bang, and we are doing the play A Doll's House by Henrik Ibsen. Henrik Ibsen, as you all know, is the father of modern drama, and he has written problem plays, which are also known as realistic plays, and he raises social issues in his dramas, and they are very thought-provoking, and they brought about a major social change after their publication. And in the beginning, though they were banned, today they are acclaimed as one of the best of dramas of world literature. Best dramas of world literature, and we had already done the conversation between Torvald Helmer and Nora Helmer, their husband and wife. Nora Helmer is the protagonist of the play, and we see how Torvald Helmer treats her like a chattel, like a possession, and he wishes that she behaves in a certain way, and Nora is not supposed to live according to her own will. We have to read between the lines, and this is what I'm trying to do as I'm reading the play for you. And we see the introduction of Mrs. Linde, who is Nora's childhood friend who comes to visit her, and here we resume the play. Mrs. Linde: what do you mean, Nora? Poor Christine, you are a widow. Mrs. Linde: yes, it's 3 years ago now. Yes, I knew, I saw it in the papers. I assure you, Christine, I mean ever so often to write to you at the time, but I always put it off. Something always prevented me. Mrs. Linde: I quite understand, dear. Nora: it was very bad of me, Christine. Poor thing, how you must have suffered. And he left you nothing? Mrs. Linde: no. Nora: and no children? Mrs. Linde: no. Nora: nothing at all then? Mrs. Linde: not even any sorrow or grief to live upon. Nora, looking incredulously at her: but Christine, is that possible? Mrs. Linde smiles sadly and strokes her hair. It sometimes happens, Nora. Nora: so you're quite alone? How dreadfully sad that must be. I have 3 lovely children. You can't see them just now, for they are out with their nanny. But now you must tell me all about it. Mrs. Linde: no, I want to hear about you. Nora: no, you must begin. I mustn't be selfish today. Today I must only think of your affairs. But there's one thing I must tell you. Do you know we have just had a great piece of good luck? Mrs. Linde: no, what is it? Nora: just fancy, my husband has been made manager of the bank. Mrs. Linde: your husband? What good luck. Nora: yes, tremendous. A barrister's profession is such an uncertain thing, especially if he won't undertake unsavory cases, and naturally Torvald has never been willing to do that, and I quite agree with him. You may imagine how pleased we are. He is to take up his work in the bank at the new year, and then we will have a big salary and lots of commissions. For the future, we can live quite differently. We can do just as we like. I feel so relieved and so happy, Christine. It will be splendid to have heaps of money and not need to have any anxiety, won't it? Mrs. Linde: yes, anyhow, I think it would be delightful to have what one needs. Nora: no, not only what one needs, but heaps and heaps of money. Mrs. Linde: Nora, haven't you learned sense yet? In our school days, you were such a great spendthrift. Nora, laughing: yes, that's what Torvald says now. Wags a finger at her. But Nora is not so silly as you think. We have not been in a position for me to waste money. We have both had to work. The Mrs. Linde, you too? Yes, odds and ends, needlework, crochet work, embroidery, and that kind of thing. Dropping her voice. And other things as well. You know, Trovard left his office when we were married. There was no prospect of promotion there, and he had to try and earn more than before. But during the first year, he overworked himself dreadfully. You see, he had to make money every way he could, and he worked early and late, but he couldn't stand it and fell dreadfully ill, and the doctors said it was necessary for him to go south. Mrs. Linde, you spent a whole year in Italy, didn't you? Yes, it was no easy matter to get away, I can tell you. It was just after Ivar was born, but naturally we had to go. It was a wonderfully beautiful journey and it saved Torvald's life, but it cost a tremendous lot of money, Christine. Mrs. Linde, so I should think, Nora. It cost about £250. That's a lot, isn't it? Mrs. Linde, yes. And in emergencies like that, it's lucky to have the money. Nora, I ought to tell you that we had it from Papa. Mrs. Linde, oh, I see. It was just about that time that he died, wasn't it? Nora, yes, just think of it. I couldn't go and nurse him. I was expecting little Ivar's birth every day, and I had my poor sick Torvald to look after. But my dear kind father, I never saw him again, Christine. That was the saddest time I have known since our marriage. Mrs. Linde, I know how fond you were of him, and then you went off to Italy? Nora, yes. You see, we had money then, and the doctors insisted on our going, so we started a month later. And your husband came back quite well? Yes, sound as a bell. That is, fit as a fiddle. Mrs. Linde, but the doctor? What doctor? I thought your maid said the gentleman who arrived here just as I did was the doctor? Yes, that was Dr. Rank, but he doesn't come here professionally. He is our greatest friend, he is a family friend that is, and he comes in at least once every day. No, Torvald hasn't had an hour's illness since then, and our children are strong and healthy, so am I. Jumps up and claps her hands. Christine, Christine, it's good to be alive and happy. But how horrid of me. I am talking of nothing but my own affairs. Sits on a stool near her and rests her arms on her knees. You mustn't be angry with me. Tell me, is it really true that you didn't love your husband? Why did you marry him then? Mrs. Linde, my mother was alive then and was bedridden and helpless, and I had to provide for my two younger brothers, so I did not think I was justified in refusing his offer. Nora, no, perhaps you were quite right. He was rich at that time? Then, I believe, Mrs. Linde, I believe he was quite well off, but his business was a precarious one. And when he died, it all went to pieces and there was nothing left. Nora, and then? Well, I had to turn my hand to anything I could find, first a small shop, then a small school, and so on. The 3 years have seemed like one long working day with no rest. Now it's an end, Nora. My poor mother needs me no more, for she is gone, and the boys do not need me either. They have got situations and can shift for themselves. This much for today, girls. We will continue the play in our next video. I hope you're able to understand the play. It's quite interesting and it will surely engage you. Just read it again as and when you find time. Thank you.